Hello, everybody. Welcome back again to What's in the Closet with Alex Steger. And today in the closet, we have a very special episode because today I'll be interviewing the owner of the beloved West Seattle thrift shop and consignment store, Funky Janes Consignment. Would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. My name is Panida Tong. I am the third owner of Funky Janes and very lucky because you are correct. She is a staple in West Seattle.
Yes. I've been really looking forward to recording this episode because it is so beloved. Everyone that I know loves this place. It's one of their top 10. Like, anytime anyone's in the Junction, they have to go to Funky Janes.
Fantastic.
It's a staple. So we talked a little bit about this off camera, but would you like to tell me about how you became the owner of Funky Janes?
Sure. A mutual friend was familiar with the former owner, Angela Nichols, and I happened upon it. I happened upon it. I've always wanted a consignment store. Mm-hmm. Consignment stores are very near and dear to me because I love thrifting.
Yes.
And also I love the positive impact that resale has on the environment. So when I was told that this store, that Angela was in the market to sell, I jumped on it.
Yeah. When did your love for thrifting start? When did that begin?
Oh, many, many moons ago. So probably around your age, high school-ish. And I haven't stopped. I mean, the excitement of the hunt.
Oh,
and
absolutely. That's my favorite part.
Yes. And the uniqueness of
completely.
The things that we come across.
You find completely unique things that you would never find anywhere else in a thrift store.
Yes.
What do you have any pieces that have stood out for you, especially owning a thrift store? You see a lot of stuff. What are some of the weirdest finds that you've happened upon?
The weirdest finds. Gosh, that one's tough.
Or most amazing. What just top memorable?
This store specifically, I'll keep it to this store. One of my most beloved finds that I got here was a pair of patent leather Prada loafers.
Wow.
Yes.
That is really something.
Yes. And I am a very small person. So to find that shoe in my size.
Like holy grail.
It was. Yeah. And it is one of my most prized pairs of shoes.
I can imagine. I mean, I would die to have a pair of Prada loafers. Oh my gosh. But just to get it in the thrift store like this, that's the perfect environment.
Yes.
You're like, I'll take that. This doesn't have to go out for the people. These can be mine.
Yes, and shoes are very specific. It's hard.
Oh, absolutely.
To find shoes when you're thrifting because it has to be a style that you like.
Yes.
And then it has to be in your size.
No, I have the opposite problem. I'm a size 12, 13.
Oh,
so it's impossible to find any. I have to order all my shoes online. It's a huge pain. But whenever I find something, it's like, oh, Give me that real quick.
That's right.
Yeah. Any other finds that stand out for you? I mean, Prada loafers is good, but
the Prada loafers were amazing. Goodness. A blue fox fur.
Wow.
In mint condition.
Wow.
Yes.
That is really special.
Yes.
So, where do you source your clothes from? Is it just by donation or?
So West Seattle is very good to this store. I would say 98% of our consigners are locals.
Wow. Okay. And
so we've, the fact that this store has been in West Seattle for almost 30 years speaks volumes to how invested the community is in this store. So all of our stuff is on consignment.
Interesting.
So I do not source anything myself. Everyone brings their stuff that they are ready to release to the universe, and we are happy to sell it for them.
That is perfect. Yeah, so I was going to ask about that. So this store's been around for 30 years. How did you deal with COVID, which really impacted small businesses hard, but this is still clearly thriving?
Yes. again, a testament to the West Seattle community.
Yes.
We had to change a number of things because what our consignment process looked like before the shutdown and what it looks like now is completely different. So one of the main things was prior to COVID, we would process consignments same day. So consignor would have their appointment, they would come in, and we would do everything within 30, 45 minutes. Yeah. And there was a lot of back and forth. They would bring their items in on hangers. We would process their consignment, give them, their hangers back. So there was a lot of touching of things.
Yes.
And once we shut down, then it was like, okay, we need to figure out this new world. And so now consignors, it's still by appointment, but they bring their items in laundered, folded in a bag that they do not want back, and we process in date order.
Okay, interesting. So it's because I imagine you can't just be like spreading all those germs around in a post-COVID world, because it's just like really brought a whole new perspective on disease and like contamination of that kind of stuff.
Yes. And we've learned a lot since.
Oh, I'm sure.
Since the pandemic. I mean, obviously, the germs don't live on, clothing forever. Yeah. But what I realized was that this was a more efficient way for us to handle the consignments.
How is it more efficient?
It's more efficient in that prior to, you would bring your items in and you would wait for us to process. Yeah. The amount of stress that put on staff, because we're trying, we don't want customers to wait too long.
Oh, yeah.
And we had one register. So we would be ringing customers up. We would be processing consignments. All of this was happening at the same time.
Just a lot of moving parts.
There was a lot of moving parts, and it could get very hectic. This new process allows us to be more thorough. So that, when we're looking at the garments, we can take more care.
Yes.
We're finding stains, damage, things that we weren't catching before.
Yeah, and that's important when you're reselling them out to the customer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it has made our processing more efficient.
Good. Well, I guess for the effects of COVID to be mostly positive in that light, that's you're really lucky to have that and to not have faced like potentially shutting down, because that, I mean, I know you used to have a store next to you, Many Moons, that I wish I got to go to more, but it did shut down over COVID, and that was really sad just to lose that new other thrift store. But
yes,
thankfully you're still running strong.
Yes. Well, and again, a testament to the West Seattle community, because everyone, as soon as we opened back up, people were coming in.
That's great.
Community members were really concerned about us. A number of community members donated to us, which was
really?
Very sweet.
That's amazing.
Yes. And at the time, I had only had the store for a year and a half. So I was very much a new face.
Yes.
Even though I did not change anything. And I'm very grateful. Angela, the former owner, built an amazing business.
Completely.
And it was a very efficient business. So I didn't need to change anything.
Yeah, that's great.
Nothing was broken. And so when we shut down, the West Seattle Junction Association, they worked really hard to support us merchants, and they pivoted very quickly. A number of our customers, we would put things up in the window, and if they were interested, we said email us, and we'd figure it out. So we did some sales via email.
Yeah, so you were finding ways to keep the business strong, even like in that time of no contact.
Yes.
That's really innovative, actually.
Yes.
I didn't even realize that.
We moved to online sales as well.
Interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yes, we have a Poshmark site. At the time, we were doing eBay.
Okay.
I mean, we were just doing whatever we could, but that online sales is an
It's a whole other
entity
world.
all in itself.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work.
I can imagine shipping it out is a whole other thing.
Answering emails,
receiving
pictures,
orders. Yes.
all the things.
Yes. So was this your first step into owning a business like this, or have you been in the business world prior to owning Funky Janes?
So I still have my corporate job.
Mm-hmm.
This, to directly answer your question, this is my first small business.
Okay.
I've always wanted a consignment store.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is essentially my retirement plan.
Got it.
This is, I am hopeful to leave corporate America soon.
Fingers crossed. Oh
COVID
my gosh.
had other plans for me.
Yeah.
I was actually supposed to quit before the
Really?
shutdown.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thankfully, I did not.
Yeah, because you're here today for this interview.
Yes. So, this is my first small business.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
every day I am learning something new.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, because you're faced with new challenges, and not challenges, I mean, just like...
An ever-changing world.
An ever-changing world. That's a great way to put it. Because business is something that fluctuates so much. The market changes a lot. The community changes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like you've done a really great job at navigating those changes, especially with those major changes, worldwide changes that have happened.
Yes. Well, if there's one thing that corporate America has taught me,
Mm-hmm.
it is to be flexible.
Yes.
And to be
that's very
open
important.
to change. That is, I think, what has really helped with my mindset here,
Mm-hmm.
especially during the shutdown and having to revamp things and constantly tweak things.
Yes.
It's been exciting,
Good.
to say the least.
Good. Yeah. Well, at least you can find a way to put a positive spin on it.
I mean, that's all we can do.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to find the light in everything and just keep finding ways to push forward, even though it might be really, really hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. So can you tell me more about your prior job experience to owning the store, and how has it helped? I mean, you talked about this a little bit, but how has it helped with you running the store?
Ooh, great question. So by day,
Mm-hmm.
I play a business change director for an insurance company.
Interesting.
So I focus on business administration.
Yeah.
So those skills and all of that knowledge, end-to-end process,
Mm-hmm.
Creating efficiencies
Yes.
where,
Yes.
maybe we don't think it's possible. All of those things have translated into how I run this store.
Yeah.
When I first took over the store, I had 4 associates.
Okay.
Thankfully, they transferred and stayed with me.
Good.
And I
Good.
was very, very lucky because essentially they all trained me.
Yeah.
They had worked
that's
here
amazing.
for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think at the time, the youngest employee had been here for almost a year and a half.
Okay.
My oldest employee had been here for 13 years.
13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
So they had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
A lot of knowledge.
I'm
and
sure.
I learned so much from them. So now, and then I went down to 3 employees.
Mm-hmm.
Now, post-pandemic, it's been almost a year now, I have 6 team members. So I have 6 people that work here.
Wow, that's impressive. So, but like the business is rapidly growing, and your background in business administration gives you a good side of the technical side of business, which is really important in just like managing it all and like all the nitty gritty stuff that can be really
Yes.
confusing to people without that type of background. So it sounds like that was really helpful for you.
It was very helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for it.
Good.
But of course it is different, right? Because one is insurance, which is not exciting and fun and
Yes.
glamorous at
Yes.
all. And then there's fashion and retail.
Exactly, which is a complete but also I think it's good to have that balance of like sometimes you need like the boring stuff in business, but also like there's the exciting stuff like Prada loafers that you
Yes.
get out of running a consignment store like this.
Yes.
But yeah, that's kind of like the ideal background, I guess, to prior to owning a business like this is just so you, like, even though you didn't have the specific knowledge of owning a consignment store, you still have the knowledge of like how to get stuff done. And like you
Yes.
said, efficiency is very key in owning a business.
Yes. And I did, in my early 20s, I was actually very good friends with someone who owned a consignment store. So I had an idea of what I was walking into.
Good. Okay.
And that is when I decided that one day I wanted a consignment store.
You set your dream, and that dream got achieved.
Yes.
Which
Well,
is-
I wanted to grow up to be a fashion designer.
Oh.
But-
yeah, but life had other plans.
Well, you also need to be able to draw well.
Oh.
I am not artistically inclined.
That is a problem that I also face,
Yes.
of wanting to go in the fashion world, but not exactly being able to figure out how to do proportions and all the folds and sleeves
Yes.
or whatever. It's
Yes.
yeah.
I
yeah.
can sew. I make a great seamstress,
I'm
but
sure.
not a designer.
Yeah, but those are still, sewing is a great skill to have especially when you're in the fashion world like this in any sense. Just again, like the more technical side of it is
Yes.
important for building a strong foundation.
Yeah.
This is not a super important question, but just something that
All
popped into my
questions are
mind.
important.
Yes. Do you know where the name Funky Janes came from? It is just so amazing and iconic. I need to know about its origin.
I do.
You do?
So
Great.
the original store owner,
Uh-huh.
the first owner, her name was Jane.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So the history of this store was that Jane, and so the original store was in Jefferson Square, where Safeway is.
Yes.
And I guess the store was owned, it was called Kathy's Closet. And then
Interesting.
Jane bought it from Kathy, turned it into Funky Janes.
So it's gone through many transformations over the years.
Yes. And so, and then Jane sold it to Angela.
Got it. And then Angela to you.
To me. Yes.
Yes.
Now, yes, Funky Janes is, and forever will be, a staple in West Seattle. But
Of
I am
course.
slowly rebranding the store to FJ Consignment.
Interesting. Yeah, I have noticed that a little bit.
Yes.
Because, not to diss your name, but Funky Panidas doesn't quite have the same
Correct.
ring.
It does
Yeah.
not have the same
Yeah.
ring. But I don't, people have asked, why don't I just completely change the name?
Mhm.
And the truth is, I don't want to lose the longevity
Oh, completely.
that Jane has. She
Yeah.
has a very special place in many people's hearts in
Mhm.
West Seattle. But as a shopper, you probably know that I have a masculine section.
Yes.
And, the name Funky Janes gives off the impression that this is a femme store.
Yeah.
And I want everyone
Yeah.
to feel comfortable
You don't want to
shopping
put it
here.
in a box.
I don't want to put it in a box. So I'm just slowly rebranding to FJ Consignment.
Yeah.
One day you'll be driving down California and you'll see a new awning.
Interesting. Well,
Yes.
I am excited for that. While I am excited for that day, Funky Janes will still have a special place in everybody's heart.
Yes.
But I think it's great that you are focusing on maintaining the history that this store has had and the, I don't want to say cultural impact, but I guess cultural impact that it has on this community because,
Yes.
You're right. It's such a staple for West Seattle, and I think that West Seattle is such a special community in itself.
Yes.
And I think it's really great that you are trying your best to maintain that and keep it flourishing.
Yes. And I want to honor the history of this store.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
It is it just warms my heart when new shoppers come in
Yeah.
that are your age or somewhere in between your age and my age.
Mhm.
And I hear them say, my mom loves this shop.
Oh,
My
really?
grandmother used to shop here. I remember when I was a little girl, I would,
that's
and
so
the shop
amazing.
was down the street.
Yeah.
I'd go. And so it makes me really happy.
Oh, completely.
And it makes me really proud that
Yeah.
I am a part of a community that cares about small business.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Oh, I mean, the Junction area especially, it's really a thriving area for small business. And I think that that's something that I would love to see more of
Yes.
as just like in the future of life and earth, because small businesses are so important to like creating a community like the one that we have. And it's so special and unique to have something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So talking about the physical space, what do you want people to feel when they walk into the store? Like emotions, just general vibe, all of that. And what do you do to achieve that?
Oh, well, we do lots of things.
Yes.
First of all, I want people to feel like they are hanging out in their friend's closet.
I would say that's achieved.
That is, because especially when I am here, I'm loud and I love to laugh and I love inspiring people to step out of their comfort zone, not too far, right?
Yeah.
But I love encouraging people to try on things that maybe they wouldn't have tried on before. And I'm all about honesty. If somebody asks me how it looks, my first question is, how do you feel? And then I will tell them how I think it looks. But I would never lie to someone and say, I think it looks great, when it doesn't flatter them.
It's just, everyone wants someone to be honest to them. No one wants someone that's going to be like, just all the time being like a yes person. Just be like, oh my God, that looks great. You look so good in that. Because then it's like, okay, well, I don't even know. Should I be buying this? And, I mean, to some extent, you do want to say, yes, buy that for sales, because it's a business. But I think it's good that you still have that integrity.
Well, and integrity is very important. And also, I think it's really important that we tell people the truth.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not flattering on your shape. Maybe the color's not right.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, then they go off into the world and, they're like, oh, the chick at Funky Janes said it was amazing on me. And their friends are like, she lied.
Yeah.
That is not.
Yeah, you don't want them to
That's
be
not
disappointed.
what we're about here.
Exactly.
We want people to feel their best. We want them to feel confident in what they've purchased, because there is no two like items.
Yes,
in this
absolutely.
Store. In any
everything
consignment
is unique.
store.
Yeah.
And so it's very important that people feel good about what they're purchasing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to say to customers when they are trying things on, and you can always tell if someone is like unsure about something.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, if you're unsure, that is not the one.
Yeah, you got to move on. You don't, it's better to try and find something better than just make an impulse buy just for the sake of buying something.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that, as
We all
of
are.
everyone. Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah, because capitalism is still raging strong in all our hearts, but
it is.
Yeah.
We are truly American in that way.
Oh yeah, entrenched in capitalist culture, corporate America.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, that's a really good message, and kind of code to have for your business is just that kind of sense of wanting people to feel their best, versus just trying to make a buck,
Yes. I want everyone to walk in here and feel, again, like they are in their friend's closet, and that there is no judgment whatsoever. I love that now that we have a masculine section, I love seeing masculine bodies come in here and shop regularly and consign. It is great story. We have, I'm not here in the store often.
Yeah.
And sometimes I will log into our cameras just to see what's happening in the store. Is it busy? What's happening? And one of my best memories is I logged into the camera that's over by the masculine section. And I don't listen to the sound, I just watch the video. And I noticed that there was a gentleman in the masculine section just shopping around. And then on the other side of the rack was a middle-aged woman. And then further by the dresses, there was an older woman.
Yeah.
And so I noticed these three people, and then they start talking. And after about 5 seconds, I realized that it was most likely a son, a mother, and a grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And they were all shopping
in
different
one space
racks together.
That really is beautiful.
It was so beautiful.
You're bringing families together.
I mean, it's not me, it's Jane.
You're allowed to give yourself some credit. I mean, you do a lot for this store.
I'm a conduit. That's it.
Yeah. You've kept it alive through thick and thin. And I mean, you're here to keep making it better. So yeah, what plans do you have for the future of Funky Janes?
Ooh, I would love a men's store, a masculine store, a you know, not gender specific, but this is predominantly a femme store.
Yeah.
Men in West Seattle and masculine bodies don't have very many options. Yeah. I would love to provide that option.
So would that be an extension of this store, a second location? Do you really know even?
I don't really know at this point.
Yeah.
I haven't quite visualized it.
Yeah.
But that is eventually the goal.
That would be amazing. I would love to see it.
I would love to move into art and furniture. As you can see, we have art.
Yeah, I was noticing all those paintings. Sorry for the podcast listeners that can't see it right now, but there's some beautiful art hung up on the walls. Some I don't know anything about art, but oil paintings.
I believe they are oil paintings.
Yeah.
Yes, and they were painted by a West Seattle local.
Interesting.
He has since passed.
Oh.
But I'm very good friends with his son. And you know, the art pieces that were selected really speak to, I think, our customer, the diversity of our customers, and the cultural impact of the time.
And just keeping his legacy alive, I think that's really special, and I'm really glad that you're doing that. Just to keep his memory alive, you know? That's really important.
And art should be shared with the world.
Completely. There should be art everywhere that we look. On the floor, on the ceiling, on the walls.
Everywhere.
On my face.
Yes, your face is art.
Absolutely. Everyone's face is art. Everyone's body is art. Everyone is beautiful.
Agreed.
So what advice do you have for any up-and-coming small business owners? I mean, you have been one, as this is your first step into being a small business owner. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned over the years that, like, you wish you could tell other people or past you?
Find and source as many mentors as you can. And listen to those mentors. Be open to the advice that they're giving, because they have experienced it, they have learned from it. So any lessons that they are passing on, they're passing them on for a reason.
Yeah.
And be open and flexible to change.
Yeah.
I think one of the most challenging things that we do to ourselves is get in our own way.
Absolutely. 100,000%.
We have a vision of what we want something to look like, and that is great. We should visualize that.
Yeah.
But we should not limit ourselves to that vision.
Because life is so fluid and constantly changing, and there's so many factors that are out of your control, and And, like, this is a lesson for small business owners, if there's any of you listening. And also just people in general. You have to go with the flow because not everything's going to go your way.
Yes.
And it sucks sometimes.
Yes.
But you just have to be there for the ride and be open to learn from the things that may not go your way.
Yes. And it is very cliche. You hear it a lot now more than ever. But that it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Yes. And with that being said, celebrate the small wins. 100%. We are so focused on the end result that we are not allowing ourselves the celebration and the praise that we achieved each of those little milestones to get us to the goal. Because the goal is so far away.
It's sometimes
3 years, 5 years.
Impossible to reach. Who knows if, like, somewhere in that time you're even going to want that goal anymore.
Yes.
But just, like, you have to take stock and just, the most important thing is be grateful. Be grateful for every little thing that you have because, you don't know when that might change and get taken away, or
Correct.
You might not know how important it is in that moment, but you'll look back in a year, 5 years, 10 years and be like, oh, I should have, like, thought about that a little harder. I should have, like, really stuck that in my mind as something important and special.
Yes. And for all of the entrepreneurs out there, or anyone who is considering becoming an entrepreneur, truly it is hard work. And it is a lot of blood, sweat, tears, lost sleep. And that is why it's so important to celebrate the small wins. Yes. Because they are still wins. And 100%. Without those little incremental bits, we're not actually achieving the goal, right? Like, we have to go through 1,000 little things to get to that pillar. Yes.
And it's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But you have to be like, okay, I still did 2 steps forward. I still made this progress. It's still happening, even though it may not be happening in the way or as fast as you want it to.
Right.
Because, the universe has a plan for you. Whether, like, believe in the universe, God, whatever entity, rocks, trees, nature, anything, your feet, your mind, anything. Just, life is going to take you on a journey, and you just have to be there for the ride.
Yes.
And this took a bit of a step away from talking about Funky Janes.
That's okay.
But I think that is pretty much all the questions that I had for you today. I think This is a beautiful ending to this podcast. Do you have any final words to the listeners, to people that may not know about this store, to people that love this store?
Well, thank you, first of all, to you for even wanting to interview me.
Thank you. You were amazing at this.
I appreciate the interest, and I love that you love shopping here. It makes me feel wonderful that young people are... that young people appreciate this store. 4 years ago, I don't know that young people felt that this was a store for you. Yeah. But it is. It's a store for everyone. Completely. So, thank you. And to all the listeners out there that are shoppers, thank you all too. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but it will be soon because I'm sure tons of people listen to this podcast.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
But we do have a student discount. So students receive 15% off because you are the future. Yeah. Now you do.
Yeah, now I know. So, hey, everyone listening, come down to Funky Janes. Do you know the address? Because I don't.
4455 California Avenue.
4455 California Avenue. Come on by. It's going to be your new favorite if it isn't already your favorite. You're going to love it.
Yes. And don't be shy. Just ask. Is there a student discount? Yes,
there is. All right, so goodbye to all my listeners. This was so much fun. I had a blast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, all right. Well, bye.